Craig Palmer, America's #1 employment strategist and career coach. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about getting a job. There are about 12 components that you need to know about getting a job. Today we're just going to talk about 5 different components. The first component to getting employment is goal setting. Oftentimes when people are looking for a job, they fail to really set a goal. Oftentimes you'll hear them say things like they want to get a job ASAP or right away, when in fact you have to set a goal, a measurable goal. What I always tell folks during my workshops is to set a goal for 4 weeks. 4 weeks is an ideal amount of time to get a job. For instance, what you would do in the first week is you want to set up your appointments. You want to get yourself a daily planner. And in that daily planner, you want to set a goal for 4 weeks. One of the major reasons why setting a goal is so important is because it has to be measurable. In 2 weeks, if you haven't heard from an employer, you haven't gotten an email from anyone, then you're not succeeding to where you want to be. So what you want to do is reassess where you are after 2 weeks. That's why measuring the goal is so important. If you say to yourself, I plan to get a job as soon as possible, then you can't measure that. So get yourself a daily planner, set a goal, whether it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and if you haven't heard anything within the first 2 or 3 weeks, then reevaluate where you are. But goal setting is extremely important. That's the first component of employment that you want to pursue. Today we're going to talk about assessment. Assessment is a critical component of getting employment. Oftentimes people don't assess their situation sufficiently enough in order to get employment. One of the first things you have to ask yourself, do you have all the required documents? Do you have your birth certificate, social security card, resident alien card, whatever you might need to get employment? That's the first part of the assessment. The next part of the assessment is, what do you want to do? All right, a lot of times people are not certain what career fields they want to pursue. You want to assess your situation. You want to decide on what avenues that you want to pursue in terms of employment. You also want to evaluate what your interests are. Did you want to go into the health field? Did you want to pursue a career in computers? These are all things that you have to be able to assess when you're determining what type of job that you want. Once you've done that, once you've assessed where you are and what you want to do, the rest is gravy, so to speak. It's much easier to get a job once you determine that. Another critical component of assessment is, do you have the right amount of education or experience? Education is critical. If you don't have a high school diploma or GED, you want to get that. You want to get that out the way. Make certain you get that out the way first. And then hopefully down the road you pursue a degree, because it's so important to get education if you decide you want to go get a good job or a particular career. Today we're going to talk a little bit about job market. A lot of folks don't evaluate the job market properly. In order to be able to get a job effectively, you have to know, one, who are the top employers out there. When you look at pursuing a job, the first thing you have to ask yourself, who are the top employers? Did you know that the top employer in New York City is North Shore LIJ? They have over 20,000 employees. If I was looking for a job, I would apply there, because obviously if they have the most employees, they probably have the most turnover as well. So you want to assess the job market. Another thing, part of understanding the job market, is what fields are booming. There was a recent study online that talked about how your baby boomers are now getting old. So one of the hottest career fields is the medical industry. Nowadays, employers are looking for licensed practical nurses. They're looking for home health aides. All right, another field that's booming is the computer field, where people are looking for computer graphics. They're looking for folks that are able to maneuver the internet. So you want to know what the job market is, so that way you find yourself in a secure place, because industries do go under, and if you don't evaluate the job market properly, you may be in a field that is dying. So knowing the job market is critical to being able to get employment. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about job search, which is probably the area that most folks or most people lack in. A lot of times folks are still using the old methods to get employment. They go door to door saying, "Hi, are you hiring? Can I fill out an application?" And as my daughter would say, that's so 90s. You have to be able to effectively go out there and get employment. You have to interact with employers and call them. And a lot of folks don't know what to say to employers when they reach out to them. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what to say to employers. Now, when you call an employer, a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to get what they call the gatekeeper. This is the person that is hired to prevent you from getting past or getting to the manager, the decision maker. So this person is the person that you have to get past. Now, how do you get past that person? I'm going to give you a very specific script, and it always works. What you have to say is when she asks, how may I help you? You want to say, I need to speak to the supervisor. And she's going to ask you, what's this in reference to? You want to say, I was told to speak to the manager. When you say this, she's going to directly get the manager on the line for you. Now, who told you? It could have been anyone. But in her mind, she's going to think that the manager told you to ask for her, or another manager indicated for you to reach out to that manager, and therefore she's going to get him on the line. When that manager gets on the line, he's going to ask, how can I help you? Usually the first thing he asks. He's going to say, how can I help you? What you say is, I was told that you guys were looking for an experienced customer service agent. I previously worked 3 years doing customer service at XYZ. I've also worked 2 years doing this. And then once you've said that, you want to say, when's a good time to come by, or should I email my resume? At no time did you hear me say, are you hiring? You don't want to ask, are you hiring? Because if you ask, are they hiring, it's too easy for the person to say no. So you want to ask them, when's a good time to come by, or should I email my resume? Those are the only two options you've given them. When you've said that, usually the person is going to say, come by next week around 1 o'clock, or they're going to say, email your resume and let me take a look at it. And you've accomplished your goal. Then you follow up in a couple of days to ensure that the person has reviewed it, and then you set up your interview. Very easy. Alright, today we're going to talk about interviewing, which is a critical component to getting a job. As you can tell, most people when they go on interviews are very nervous and find it difficult to manage the interview. Some of the things that you want to do when you go on an interview, a great suggestion is to put your hands on your lap if you're nervous. That way it prevents sweaty palms. Another great thing to do when you're interviewing, and these are just some things that you want to be mindful of. One, no excessive jewelry. You want to make certain that you're dressed appropriately. For men, have a shirt, tie. For ladies, you want to have a dress or a suit, okay, and a jacket. You also want to make certain that you limit any perfume or cologne. You also want to make certain that you have at least 5 to 10 copies of your resume handy. In the event that you appear on an interview and you have 2 or 3 interviewers, you want to have a copy of your resume for each one. Another great thing to do in the interview, arrive early. Oftentimes people, when they arrive for an interview, they come 15 minutes early. I suggest you come at least 45 minutes to an hour earlier to avoid any possible delays on the train or in traffic. Another great thing when interviewing is to make certain that you have at least 3 questions at the end of every interview. I've spoken to hiring managers and recruiters, and oftentimes they've said if the person doesn't have at least 3 questions at the end of the interview, I don't consider them for the job. So make certain you have your questions prepared. Another thing you want to do is make certain that you have proper eye contact. Make certain you're looking at the person during the interview, and you want to make certain that you conclude the interview with a handshake. Make certain you greet the person with their name and at